And then you get to a point where you want to fundraise and you want to go to the next level. But again, investors and everyone are asking you, who's your CTO? Who's in charge of the tech? And as a non-technical founder, you don't have an answer to that question. So I approached a lot of technical people that I know who are in my community and ecosystem. And they all said no. They all said no. And it was really tough. It was really tough because I felt like I'm really trying my best and I just need this one piece. Hi, everyone. My name is Chido from Vambo AI, and this is the Vambo AI in Africa podcast. I am so excited to welcome you on this journey. We have been learning so much in our journey of building Vambo AI and African language AI, and we decided that we actually want to create a series of conversations with great players in the ecosystem across the continent and beyond who are interested in the same problem or similar branches of the problem. So again, I'm Chido, and today I'm joined by Ishe, our CTO, and we are going to be having a conversation about our journey building Vambo AI, and again, just set the scene and the stage for the many other conversations that we're going to have. So please make sure to like, share, subscribe to this channel. In the comments, share any other conversations you'd like us to have, any questions you may have. And yeah, we'll definitely make time to produce those and share them with you. So, Ishe, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. It's the end of the year.
Will it be the end of the year when this is?
I mean, we are recording at the end of the year.
Okay, it's the end of the year.
It's the end of the year. It's the end of a really, really good year. And it's also the end of a really challenging year. It's crazy how both of those can exist at the same time. So when you ask me how I am, I have to just take a step back and think about both those things.
Schrodinger's well-being.
Exactly. But yeah, I'm good. And it's good for us to chat. We talk all the time. But I think it's also nice to actually just sit down and take some time to really reflect on where we're at. So because this is our first video for our podcast, I wanted to focus a little bit of the initial moments, just setting the scene. Who are we? Who's Chido? Who's Ishe? How did we come together? How are we building this thing called Vambo AI? What is a Vambo AI? And then we can go further from there. So please, sir, start us off. Who is Isheanesu Misi? And yes, I use your full government name.
Okay. Technically, my full surname is Misi.
Okay.
If we're gonna go fancy on it,
that one a little bit. But yeah, tell us.
I am Ishe. Yes, I am the CTO, resident tech guy. I've been in tech for a while, for a very long time.
And where did that come from? Where did that passion for tech come from?
I'd say it was two things. One, when you're not good at sports, you need to fill up that extra time after school. Two, I was actually always really curious about how stuff works. Wasn't actually computers at first. I had this habit of literally breaking open toys.
Okay.
Remote control cars.
Was everything okay, or you just...
No, I wanted to see why is this thing moving? What's inside? And I didn't have any tools or anything like that, so I'd actually take a knife from the kitchen, unscrew the thing, and I'd just look, and there'd be these circuit boards, and I'd be like, what's going on there? And I did that with. I actually had funny story. I had a PS2.
Okay.
And for the younger viewers at home, a PS2 is like a PS5, but not as cool. A few lines down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had it for years. Absolutely loved it. So once, in a very, very crazy state, I was like, but how does this one work? I opened the PS2 and there's I actually don't know what it's called, but there's this little connector ribbon that goes through there. And then in my haste to open it, it kind of tore. And that's why I don't have a PS2 anymore. It stopped working because the whole thing was I didn't know how to put things back together. I just knew how to open them. And my mom really didn't like me doing that. And she was always like, if only you could fix these things, you know. So eventually, I don't even know how we made that transition, but like eventually knowing, wanting to know how things work kind of translated into doing things like software and everything like that. Because that's like, it was like the safer version of that.
Yes.
You don't have to risk breaking something you don't know anything about, but you can, like dive into a computer and find out, okay, so how does that software work?
Yeah.
And then that's kind of like how I got into computers.
First programming language was?
Oh, that was Java.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we had some crazy times. Yeah, I mean, like that one time, when actually I'm not sure if I've
Which
told her
one
about
time?
this.
What happened? Does it have to do with the company? Ishe, what did you do?
No, okay. I'm not sure if she remembers this. I think she found out one time, but my sister had a laptop. I didn't have a laptop, but I was learning to program. And I was like trying to learn with the textbook, with the Java textbook, right?
Yeah.
Of course, you need a computer to actually program. So I actually taught myself how to hack into Windows XP because she wouldn't share her laptop.
I mean, you just keep going. Finish the story. Finish the
Okay. I don't know. Maybe we cut it out. Anyway. So I told myself how to hack into Windows XP because she wouldn't share a laptop. And I'd get into her laptop and then I'd teach myself programming while she was out of the house. And then when she came to the gate, I'd log out, put it back, and then go open the gate.
I mean, is your sister going to watch this podcast?
I don't know. She's pretty
I'm gonna
busy.
share it with her.
She's got like 2 kids. She won't even
She's
notice.
going to watch it. I'm going to share it with her. But I think I like that story actually, because I think for me, it really resonates with some really great qualities that I saw in you when we started working together, or when that conversation started coming up. You are definitely someone who will figure something out. You will make a plan. You will make a plan. And you're also someone who, you do it quietly, I mean, I always wonder, there's so many amazing things Ishe has done, honestly. Like, if I could share everything, it would be the whole podcast. But he doesn't really share them, and I wonder why. And maybe you can kind of share with some other techies that may be watching who are also building amazing things, but like keeping quiet about it. Why do you do that? Why do you not find, like, I don't know. You know what I'm asking, right?
Yeah. To be honest with you, it's like you don't necessarily I mean, of course nowadays I've got to pay rent and things, but you don't necessarily do it because of, what it can do, make money from this or whatever. Like, you just think, like, today, like, wouldn't it be really cool if I could make software that does this? And you do it. And
then it's done, and then
we did it.
it's
like,
amazing. And then
solving the problem is the actual accomplishment. Whether or not it makes money, or whether or not even if no one else sees it.
yeah.
But like, because you're obsessed with how things work and with the problem solving, you just do that anyway.
Yeah, I love that. And I think there's so many things I want to ask, but I think I'm just going to bring it to then combining your technical expertise with someone who's going to also help build a business around it, and then get people to see it and use it and to make money out of that, right? So I'm just going to quickly backtrack. So what happened is Ishe and I did not know each other before we started working together on Vambo AI at all. And I know a lot of people say successful co-founders went to school together, roommates, childhood friends, born in the same hospital, stars aligned.
We were not roommates.
We were not roommates. And which hospital are you born in?
Belvedere
Oh,
in
really?
Harare. Yeah,
No,
actually.
I'm
So
an Avenues baby. So yeah, but you see, we
Belvedere is
don't
nice.
have those common aspects, and I think a lot of people who are going to be building together will find themselves in a similar situation. So let me shorten the story so that again we can go into talking about what we're building. And basically, what happened is I had been building Vambo Academy for a couple of years and had not had dedicated technical talent. And I think a lot of founders face this issue where you outsource your tech, people build it, some do it well, some don't, but you're just not there yet. And then you get to a point where you want to fundraise and you want to go to the next level. But again, investors and everyone are asking you, who's your CTO? Who's in charge of the tech? And as a non technical founder, you don't have an answer to that question. So I decided to just go on a hunt. I was like, look, I'm going to look for a CTO. And like, yeah, it's just at a point where we need to do that. So I approached a lot of technical people that I know who are in my community and ecosystem. And they all said no. They all said no. And it was really tough. It was really tough because I felt like I'm really trying my best and I just need this one piece. And then Isha and I just happened to know each other from Twitter, and I guess a mutual friend, and we won't get into that story. But we were like following each other on Twitter, and not even like talking, but just kind of like he'd post a couple of things he was doing, he'd see a couple of my posts type of thing. And I was like, oh, you know what, there's this guy that I've had like one or two conversations with. Why not pitch it to him since everyone else, is not so interested? So I called Ishe and I was like, Ishe, I know we don't know each other like that, but there's this language startup that I'm trying to build, and I really need a CTO. Will you be my CTO? And Ishe, he didn't say no, but didn't say yes. He was like, you know what? I'm actually embarking on a new opportunity right now, and I don't think this is the best thing for me. And I was like, Ishe, please, 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 please. I begged. Do you remember me begging?
Yes, I do.
Yes, I begged. I begged you so much. And then eventually I was like, okay, look, be my CTO for about 9 months. Because I think it was, I was like, let's do a 9-month contract. You'll be CTO for 9 months. Help me at least get my product to the next stage. And then after that, like it's done. You can go, continue what you're doing. And then I would have figured out my life by then. And then Ishe agreed. So to entrepreneurs out there who are really struggling to find talent, allow a probation period because you never know what would come out of that. In our probation period, look where we are now.
You would have gotten first if you just brought me pizza, to be honest.
Pizza's the other thing.
Pizza's the way to a dev's heart.
So then he was our CTO for 9 months. And then when we're doing the onboarding process and sharing with Isha what we'd built, we actually discovered there were a couple of opportunities that were still accessible through the language technology space. Anyway, long story short, we played around with a couple of things, and the first version of Vambo AI was born. Before I ask Ishe what Vambo AI does, Ishe, what is Vambo AI? In like 2 sentences max.
In 2 sentences,
Or 3.
Rambo AI is Africa's response to the artificial intelligence revolution.
Yes, sir. That is exactly what it is. And what do we do at Vambo AI? Again, 2 sentences.
Okay, it's not going to sound epic this time. we train AI in African languages.
Great. We train AI in African languages. And we do this because the 4th industrial revolution is here. It is such an important aspect of our development as a human race. And we do not want Africa to be left behind. So we have decided to take it upon ourselves and our amazing team, and we are training AI to understand African languages. Our tagline is multilingual intelligence. So we focus on the multilingual aspect to represent as many African languages as we can, and then the intelligence aspect to make sure that it knows Africa and anything to do with Africans just as well, if not better than Africans themselves. So, Ishe, tell me, version 1. What did we have in version 1? And maybe you can just share a challenge of actually starting from being a full stack dev and now you're going to build this AI model languages. the dream that we had. Tell me everything about version 1.
Okay, yeah. So you've told them my secret. I had dabbled with AI for like a few years at the time, but that wasn't my niche. Full stack dev, you know, good learning management systems or any other kind of thing. So I was coming from a place of I've dipped my toes in what we do. So like at that point, the only goal was I want an AI that will say something back to me in my language. Because at that exact time, literally none of them could even recognize a single word. Yeah, just like it was all. It would just like throw a bunch of random words together, made no sense. So that was a goal, and it was in the 6-week sprint. And I don't know at what point. I don't remember at what point we got that invite to a showcase. But then there was a hard deadline. Like there needs to be something that works at the end of that 6 weeks. You don't have a PhD in AI. It hasn't been done for some reason. What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember I actually started by, um, I actually literally started by just trying to put put words, put Shona words in the prompt, in the system prompt, to see if that would kind of improve things to an extent, yeah. But because of the tokenization problems and everything like that, it's not something that would kind of work out. So I had to actually start, figuring out. So we've got open source models, which models understand which languages, why do they understand them, and we fine tune what can we do. So there's both the model side of things, and then on the other end we've also got like the actual delivery. So this thing needs a back end, needs an interface. We need to do that whole thing.
Yeah.
And it was actually a very, very intense sprint. It was in winter. I remember that well.
It was in winter.
It was in winter. I had just moved to Cape Town, because I remember that distinctly, because Cape Town winters are not okay.
Brutal.
They are not okay. And I was, between trying to figure this out and trying to adjust. It was a very weird place. And at a certain point, I was starting to think, we are gonna miss this deadline, because it's not like if you tell me you want to calculate the app, say I'll give me X number of days,
Yes.
or whatever,
But you're going in blind with this one.
yeah, I'm going in blind. There's no blueprint, there's no tutorial. It's just kind of like a figure it out situation, and it was going badly. So we
Failed training runs.
all
Results
of it,
that don't make sense.
all
Yeah.
of it, the whole time.
It didn't work.
It
It didn't work.
It didn't
Until.
oh no, it gets even crazier than that. And then for the showcase, fly up to Joburg, and that was
wait, sorry. I need to cut you here because I need to add parts of my story. We get accepted into the showcase. We have no money at all.
Showcase was a big deal too.
Showcase was a big deal because it was our first time. And actually, shout out to Matthew Marsden. Like, he has done so many amazing things for our journey. Thank you so much. Startup Club ZA. But Showcase was a very big thing.
And also, Matthew, if you're watching, The snacks at your events are.
Snacks are great. But yeah, showcase is a big deal. And I'm in Joburg, Ishe's in Cape Town. We get accepted and we're like, we have to be there and we have to be there together because this is the beginning of our journey. So I don't know where we got the funds for, but Ishe flies up. He stays with my friend. I asked my friend if he could just house him. I get a blanket and a mattress for Ishe. He goes to my friend's house. Day of the showcase, I get 2 t-shirts printed because we could only afford 2 t-shirts. Get 2 t-shirts printed. We go wearing our t-shirts. And the whole time, I go pick up Ishe from my friend's house. The whole time, Ishe is on the laptop coding.
In the car.
In the car. In the car. I'm trying to make a big conversation. Then I'm like, you know what? Let me actually just keep quiet because I can tell there's something happening here. So I keep quiet. The car ride is quiet. I'm just driving, praying, Lord, you know, I don't know what's happening, but I hope it's going to work out. Isha is quiet. We get to the showcase. I park the car. We got there a little early. I park the car. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go network. Are you coming? And you're like, I need to code. I leave him in the car coding and I go to network. Proceed.
Okay. And at that point, I was, what computer was that? It was, I was using that old one, like 2 ones back, right? So the battery is also dying. I'm just trying to hotspot myself from a phone, and I have an error I cannot figure out for the life of me. And the battery's like down here. And I thought, okay, you know what? You probably made a big mistake there, and you're probably going to need to go back home and figure it out. It's not for tonight. We'll just tell everyone the demo will be ready soon.
Later,
all right?
another day.
We're just going to do it like that. And I just told myself, all right, but it might be that. So I'm like, all right, let me save, click to deploy. And deployment takes a while. And I'm like, yeah, it's a done deal.
Done.
I get out of the car and I'm like, you know, I deployed something. Yeah, I don't think it's going to work. Sorry about that. Game over. We go inside and we're doing the whole thing. And I didn't even want to look at it. I was like, I'm not going to put that kind
He
of
didn't
stress
tell
in
me
my
all
life.
of this, by the way. I just thought things are working out.
Yeah, I didn't want to look at it. I'm like, I'm not going to put that kind of stress in my life. And then you try it out and you come and show me. And I'm like, it's working?
It's working.
I'm like, because I was sure this is like, no way on earth it's going to work. Like, no, 100% it's working. Oh, and that was a great moment, really. Because, I think we actually gave it to a few people to try
That
then
was
and
a
there.
beautiful moment.
Because it was we actually got a chance to be like, okay, so see our thing and see from that company. And they were like, wow, how did you? And you know, you got to keep it cool. It's like, yeah, we're professionals. And meanwhile, I'm thinking, how on earth did I do that?
And I think that moment fueled our drive. It fueled our ambition. You know, a few weeks ago when we were having our strategy session, we're actually telling the team again the story and just rehashing it to them. And we said we were really delusional at the time.
Delulu.
We knew absolutely nothing, but we're like, we're going to do this. And again, that moment really validated our delusion. So I'm happy it happened. I'm happy it happened that way. And it's interesting because a lot of our breakthroughs have almost been like that as well, right?
Oh, like Qatar.
Like Qatar, like all the accelerators we've gotten into, like the different supporters and customers that have come, like every single thing, right? And I think I kind of also now want to really get into what we're doing, like our product, because again, with the Vambo AI in Africa podcast, we really want to speak to people who are building AI for Africa. So we're going to speak to a lot of different people. And, you know, personally, I think and believe that language is the foundation of a lot of these solutions and their ability to be inclusive for various communities. So we're a big deal, you know, we're a big deal. But so from that version 1, or from that point, we had 4 languages. This was English, French, isiZulu.
No.
Wait,
You're mixing it up.
English, French, Afrikaans, and Shona.
Um, Actually, I remember we hadn't tested the French, but it did work.
Okay.
So it was like on the fence, like I'm not sure if it works.
But the decision was Shona because that's what we understand. So we wanted to build something that we could literally test in real time, see it, feel it out. English.
English was a lot easier to build.
And
for.
why Afrikaans? Why did we have Afrikaans so early in the game?
Yeah, actually, Afrikaans was so for 2 reasons. We wanted language other than Shona. We're trying to be multilingual, but also because Afrikaans is an African language that sits in like a very unique place in terms of its history and its context, and because of how. Of course, it's not Dutch, but of course, because of how well it's linked to Dutch, and because of how things exist on the internet, European languages having a lot of resources, African languages not having a lot of resources online.
Yeah.
So Afrikaans was a good entry point from a practical standpoint, because there's a wealth of resources that exist that complement it. For example, if you were to build text to speech, from scratch, you could very well fine tune a Dutch model on Afrikaans language and get some results.
And I think another important thing to note here for anyone who's looking to build is we had to do a lot of research and development on our own in the early stages, right? So even experimenting with languages like Afrikaans, yes, we're trying to understand its makeup and everything, but also its use cases, its relevance in society, its relevance in neighboring countries and communities, if any. And of the languages that we're exploring in those early days, I think we quickly came to figure out, and I say this with all respect, but kind of like the mileage of a language, right? How far it can go and how far it can go commercially, how far it can go experimentally. There's some languages that we'd be pushing, and then we kind of hit a bit of a roadblock because either it needs more data, or either we need more native speakers to validate things, or something is broken, or the data that was collected on it just has its own intricacies and issues. And there are languages that we'd explored, but then some person from some random place picks it up and we're like, oh snap, this is actually a really relevant language and we need to invest a bit more into it. So with that said, can you talk me then through, okay, we start with these 3-4 languages, we go to 11, and then now we're at 44 plus. And that's a little hint for stay tuned. But now we're at 44, right? Talk me through our process of adding those languages and maybe share 1 or 2 key things. It can be tech related, language related, anything, but key things you've learned on the journey of us. I don't want to say expanding because I don't know if that's expanding, but of us actually adding more languages and representing more of Africa.
Yeah, sure. So like at the at the basic level, it's in terms of resources first. The first thing anyone's gonna do is see what they can get available, open source.
Open source, yeah.
So things that have things that have a lot of data available are going to automatically go up on the list.
And just for the viewers, which 2 languages have really good open source data that's available for anyone who wants to play around with NLP?
Actually, so Swahili is on all kinds of modalities and tasks. Swahili is just way up there, not even a contest. But if we're going to go in terms of text versus speech, on the text side of things, there are a lot of Afrikaans text that exists.
Okay.
But actually, in terms of, and this is strictly the open source stuff, in terms of speech, the number two actually in some data sets actually better represented than Swahili is Kinyarwanda. Yeah, so Kinyarwanda is actually it's up there. It
Okay.
is way
What's
up
your
there.
theory behind the Afrikaans Kinyarwanda?
Oh, there's
There's
no
no
there's
theory.
no need for a theory
It
there.
is what it is.
You remember Sam?
Oh,
In fact, I don't think you've met Sam. No, okay, no, you haven't met Sam. Anyway, Sam from Digital Mgunda is actually been very involved, hands on for a while, and they actually did was not the 2000, I think 2000 hours of speech data.
oh,
Yeah, so this is
for
actually
Kinyarwanda.
yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
This is actually someone who's taken it upon himself and
We
said
need him on the podcast.
we do, but he's in Rwanda.
No, it's okay. We'll get him on the podcast.
He's in Rwanda.
But yeah, sorry. Please proceed.
Yeah,
Our journey of scaling and adding.
yeah, okay, yeah, but yeah. So after the resource thing, then it comes to place of okay, so we've hit. And I'll put the resource thing on two tiers as well. The open source tier being the entry level, secondary level there being so if you have any kind of partnership,
Yeah.
if they have, if you're in South Africa and they say we have a data set for isiXhosa, for example, because those are the resources that are now available to you, of course, that's going to go up on your list. But then after the resource, after you've gone past the resource gap, then you start thinking of that's the part when you start thinking creatively. So I'm trying to scale this up. What's the plan? And the plan really is complicated, of course. You try and collect more, that kind of thing. But then there's also, okay, this has gone full circle. It's also now tying back into that little problem solving thing that I did as a kid, where you start noticing some patterns and things like that, right? So, for example, I've noticed is it 4 or 5 languages, including Swahili and Shona, the word for meat is the same.
Nyama.
Yeah. So you start to think, okay, so that's the same word, and this other word's the same word, right? So assuming maybe you're the kind of person who had started on Swahili, then you start to think, okay, so there's lots of Swahili data here, not enough Shona data. But I'm noticing these similarities play into these things. And you start to think, okay, so is there a way to kind of bridge that gap? Is there a way to marry these things? And then there's, we could be here all year about the specific techniques, but then you start to notice that there's actually common linkages and one thing can help another.
Yeah.
Like, for example, you've seen this. I'm not sure if the viewers would have seen this by now. The Swahili text to speech we did. You just actually so that one's trained specifically and exclusively on Swahili language data, right?
Yeah.
But you just throw a shorter sentence as is,
And it read
and
it out.
it reads it out. It's coherent and everything. The accent's like
Oof.
like where's this person from? But you understand what they're saying. So in that case, then you think, instead of me trying to then go and collect 2,000 hours of Shona data from who knows where, since there's 2,000 hours of Swahili, let me start there. Then let me collect just 10 hours of Shona as an additional layer to fine tune there.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you realize, oh, it's as if I had the 2,000 hours of Shona as well. So that's from a technical perspective, that's the kind of decision you make.
Yeah.
And then just basically from practical kind of day-to-day thing, you being based in Cape Town myself, you hear people, you meet people speaking isiXhosa, and whether or not the data is available, it becomes something. It becomes a challenge that's read in your periphery. So
Yeah.
then that's something that kind of spurs you on to think. We've got to do something for this. Yeah.
And again, I think this is where our team composition also starts making a lot more sense, right? That this is where you now need a lot of language experts to also help you unpack the similarities and differences with the different languages, right? Yes, we may be noticing those patterns through building, testing, and giving it to users, getting feedback, but it's the effort also requires academia to play a role in that, right? For us to understand that. So that means a lot of reading. That means a lot of engaging with native speakers, with language experts. That means a lot of conversations, a lot of testing as well. And of the 44 languages that we have, which one is the most interesting for you to work with?
Oh, that one is very easy. Comes right off the top of my head. It is Amharic.
Amharic. I
And
know. I love it. Can I tell you, when we added Amharic, like everything just changed because just the structure of the language, everything is, and even just the sound of it, right? And I think I'd actually like to just take a little moment here to share some things I've learned about language as well from building and tech, testing and everything. So one thing that I noticed, which was really, really key, is that when you have, like for me, my native language is Shona, right? When you have a Shona speaker, maybe in Kenya or Tanzania, wanting to learn Kiswahili, it's actually so much easier for me to learn Kiswahili from Shona basis than to learn it from an English basis, right? Because there's so many similarities to that. But I remember now when I was like, okay, cool, this is what's happening. How does this work for our users? I had to think about two things. One, obviously, where our users are coming from and what their base language is. But then also, what are the initial words that you're teaching it? So I remember in the early days when we were doing version 1, I was actually doing a lot of language pairs for you, translating some Shona phrases and everything,
I
right?
remember that.
Yeah. Like I had like Excel sheets and like he'd give me like versions of like phrases, right? It was phrases and words, and I'll translate them and get different meanings and all of that. But again, doing all of that, right, was also then easier for me to work with the Kiswahili language expert to do the same thing because Shona and Swahili have more similarities than English and Swahili. And then came the problem of, okay, we now have a language like Amharic, which is why I got so excited when you said that, right? And the first question that I had was, what does Amharic sound like? I've never heard that language before. Before. Of course, I've heard it now, but I had never heard Amharic before, right? And then, wait.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, I've never heard Amharic before. How many native Shona speakers have heard Amharic? How many Southern Africans have heard Amharic? How many Africans that do not reside in East Africa or in spaces where Ethiopians or Amharic speakers reside have heard what it sounds like, right? And that was just for one language. And I was like, but wait, actually, do people even know what Zulu sounds like? Like, there were so many questions now around how do we make language accessible to people so that even if you're saying, I want to speak Zulu, I want to learn this, I want to use Vambo AI for, Wolof, Hausa, Yoruba, you actually also know what it sounds like so you can be able to identify it. And that's when our language identification tool came in, remember?
Oh,
So, oh my goodness, like there's just so much that we have built and so much I'd love to share. But I think reeling it back here, and perhaps maybe this can be our last point, we'll do a young part 2 for version 2 of Vambo AI and 3. And I mean, you gave them a spoiler about the speech models that are coming out soon as well.
okay. So we put them out earlier. So when the podcast comes out, they're already out. It's not a spoiler anymore.
But I think, just kind of like to finish that. So Amharic is the language you're most excited about. Tell me a little bit about Amharic, and then I think maybe to just close off, we can just share little spoilers, snippets of what we've got in the pipeline for the people.
Okay. So I what I really like about Amharic is, and and like is a strange word to use, is because Amharic actually broke my code base. So up until that time, I think that was under the 11. So under the 11 languages. So up until that time, it had just been what we just call Latin script languages, right? A B C D E blah blah blah.
And a lot
right?
of them were Bantu languages as well.
A lot of them were Bantu languages
Yeah.
or Bantu Nguni. We're close. So we're in familiar ground. And then day one of doing Amharic, oh my goodness, because everything is kind of built into that similar way. You're using regular expressions and blah blah blah. Amharic's a whole different beast. They've got their own rating system.
They've got their own writing system, and it's so pretty.
They've got their own rating system, and I'm not sure if it's used outside of Ethiopia at all. So like it's their own thing, and because there was that, and with me not being able to speak or read a word of it, it was something that presented a unique challenge. So like it's just kind of having that, and then having actually speaking to those Ethiopians, and then being like, yeah, that word means, yeah, that's correct.
Yes.
So that was like
mind blowing. Like it actually works beyond what we understand and what we know, right?
Yeah. So it was kind of like trying to do surgery with your eyes closed.
And actually having the surgery be successful.
Yes. So that's what's amazing. And then in terms of spoilers, I don't want to. I've already done my spoiler.
I know. I also don't want to really do spoilers because I'm like,
I've already said too much.
Okay. I think yeah, no, I don't think I'm going to do any more spoilers. I think we've kind of done enough for this podcast. So again, stay tuned to Vambo AI social media pages, to our website, to our platforms for more that's coming up, right? But I think, maybe you can just share a parting shot around you as a CTO, or as obviously our technical lead. Where are you seeing our place as Vambo AI, not just in the African AI ecosystem, but in the global AI ecosystem? What does that look like, and what is our journey going to be like in the times to come?
Because that's okay. There's so much I don't want to spoil. Actually, there's one thing I haven't even told you that's related to this.
Okay.
Yes. All right. I'll tell you when the cameras are off. But so because of this position that I'm in, there's something that's meant to be announced publicly April 2025 from what they said. And it's kind of something that's it's being spurred on by the challenge of AI not being equitable for everyone in the world. And because of initiatives like that, I strongly believe we're going to have situations where people on the other side of the world will say, hey, see what those guys did over there? If they can do that, we can do that as well. So like from that kind of point of view, it's a domino effect. You do one small thing, and then somewhere down the line, somewhere down the line, maybe 100,000 people who speak a native language in Oceania have AI in their language. You know. It's a domino effect. I'm going to tell you just now what that thing is.
I can't wait. Don't forget it. And I think for me, from my side as the co-founder of this company, I think I'm really excited to see us getting into a phase where we can empower other businesses, other entities to be more inclusive, to be multilingual, to build solutions that are really for Africa and that really go like the distance. So again, without sharing any spoilers, that is one of our big goals. We want to be an enabler. We want to be part of people's tech stacks. We want to be that partner that helps you speak to Africa, helps you know Africa, helps you understand Africa and beyond. And I'm really excited about it. So thank you so much, Ishe. This has been an amazing first podcast. Please stay tuned to the Vambo AI in Africa podcast. We have so many amazing conversations that are coming. Our languages, our work represents over 35 African countries. And we are on a mission to speak to as many people from those spaces as possible and understand how AI is working in their communities and how Vambo AI can empower and enable them. So thank you again, Ishe. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. Please share this conversation. Give us any more questions and topics that you'd like us to discuss. And we'll see you next time.
Please share. If this doesn't get enough views, I'm not allowed to go to McDonald's.
Thank you.